My name is Brandon Jones, and I got a problem. After a horrible senior season of high school football and poor grades in the classroom, I lost my scholarship offer to the University of Kentucky. Not only that, but I just found out I got a baby on the way. Now, instead of the big stadiums and the screaming crowds, I'm headed to a junior college. My goal is to earn a scholarship offer to a Division I school and eventually get an NIL deal that'll allow me to provide for my family. But first, I must play at least one full season of JUCO football while maintaining at least a 2.3 GPA. I was born and raised in Louisville, Kentucky, in a small neighborhood called Smoketown. Since the Civil War, it's been a historically black neighborhood, and it's still pretty much like that today. When my grandparents died, they left their house to my Aunt Donna and my Uncle D. Well, when Uncle D went to prison, my mom and I moved in with my aunt and all my cousins. Staying in the house with that many people made it easy to get lost in the shuffle. If you didn't speak up, you got overlooked. I had to fight for just about everything. I started playing organized football in the 7th grade, and it was immediately clear to everybody that I was going to be special. Although I was undersized compared to most of the other kids, I had crazy speed, so I was extremely hard to catch. I quickly fell in love with the game, but probably not for the reason you may think. Yeah, football was fun, but all the attention that came with it was even better. See, I know for a fact, I suffered from only child syndrome growing up. If all the attention and focus wasn't on me, I would tend to act out or slip into a dark depression. I stayed locked away in my room, sometimes for days. Then when my family would start to become concerned to give me the attention I was craving, I would pop back out. Well, I can honestly say that narcissistic, attention-seeking behavior is one of the main reasons I'm in the position I'm in today. I built up quite the buzz playing Pop Warner, so when it was time for high school football, I knew the expectations would be high. I spent that entire summer before school started working on my game. Me and my homie Nasir would probably get to the field at like 10 a.m. and we wouldn't leave until damn near midnight. I knew the coaches would probably say that I was way too small to be playing running back, so I had officially made up my mind that I was now a slot receiver. Going into my freshman year, I was terrified because I didn't know what to expect. I swear, high school is like a world of its own. No, I mean like seriously. You got the rich kids and the poor, you got the weirdos and the junkies, the jocks and the gangbangers, the essays, the Asians. Look, I didn't know where I was gonna fit in. I was just hoping I didn't get my ass whooped. For the first week or so of my freshman year, I just stayed to myself because I really didn't know anybody. I mean, of course, I had a few friends there from middle school, but other than that, I was basically a loner. But when the football season started, I made sure everybody knew my name. Now, since I was still a freshman, I had to pay my dues. I got the ugly helmet and the huge shoulder pads. I wanted a single-digit number, but I got 81. You know how it is when you're a freshman, but after just 2 games, everything changed. I got moved up to varsity and never looked back. I started off on kick returns, then I started getting a few reps at receiver. Before I knew it, I was not only the starting receiver, but I was a key piece to our offense. Over the course of the next 3 years, I completely dominated high school football, racking up awards left and right. 2-time second-team All-American. I got selected as a first-team All-American my junior year. Scouts from all over were attending my games, and I was getting letters to the house every day. I mean, everything was going great. Well, that was until my 17th birthday. I remember like it was yesterday. My mom and my aunt put their tax returns together to surprise me with a car for my birthday. It was a 2015 Chevy Malibu. It was only about $6,500 and it had a few problems, but man, I loved that thing. See, having a car in high school instantly makes you 10 times more popular. Not only that, but I was already a local star because of my achievements on the football field. So those two things combined basically made me a legend. Up until that point, I was a focused and disciplined student athlete, but it's like as soon as I got those keys in my hand, everything started going downhill. I was never at home anymore. I was always in traffic. I was never at school anymore. I was always skipping class with some random girl that I hardly even knew. My grades had dropped extremely low and I was in danger of becoming academically ineligible. My football coach knew this wasn't like me and he was concerned, so on a random Wednesday afternoon, he pulled up to my crib.
So go ahead and talk to me, Brandon. Man, what's going on?
I mean, I don't know, coach. I just been chilling. I don't even know why everybody's so concerned.
We're concerned because we all want what's best for you. I mean, you worked your ass off to get to this point, and now you just want to chill. That don't even make no sense.
Come on now, coach. You know me. When it's time for the season to start, I'll be more than prepared.
Football is the least of my concerns. The last thing I would want you to do is slack off in the classroom and end up losing your scholarship you worked so hard to get. Or even worse, get careless out here and end up with a baby. You've got a real opportunity to make it out here. And I would hate to see you blow it.
I knew everything coach said to me was right. I laid in my bed that night wide awake. I couldn't sleep because I felt guilty. I knew I had been slacking and taking my talents for granted, and if something didn't change, I could potentially lose everything. I'm sure you've heard the saying, a hard head makes a soft ass, right? Well, I never knew what that meant until I found myself in the exact situation my coach had just warned me about. After that conversation we had, I got back focused for about a week or so, but then I was right back to my old ways. Before I knew it, I found myself academically ineligible to play football, and I got the news I had a baby on the way. My senior year was a disaster. I only got to play in the last 3 games of the season, and as expected, I didn't do well at all. Once Kentucky got word of my academic suspension, they snatched my scholarship offer away faster than they gave it to me. Knowing I'd be a father soon, I wanted to make sure I was in a good place financially, so I picked up a little part-time job at Wingstop in the evenings after school. I ain't gonna lie, it was a little bit embarrassing at first, but I was doing what I had to do. At this point, I had completely given up on the thought of playing football anymore, to be honest. Depression had set in, I started to gain weight from all those damn wings at work. I was just down bad. Well, my boy Nasir swung by the crib a few weeks after graduation. He was getting ready to leave for Texas A&M. My dog got a full ride scholarship. Just seeing how excited bro was made me happy because we literally used to sit and talk about this. After Nasir left the crib that day, I walked up to the field that we used to train at. Man, I sat there for hours, just reflecting, really just thinking about how my life decisions got me to this point. I put way too much time and effort into the game just to walk away. Not only just me, but my mom, my aunt, my coach. I mean, everybody invested in me in some type of way. Plus, with me having a child coming into the world, I owe it to him to make something of myself. It was at that moment that I decided to give football another shot. I tried reaching out to several D1 colleges, but all of them seemed to lose interest once they found out my story. The last thing these coaches want is an undisciplined player that they can't depend on, and I get that. Well, after repeatedly getting denied, my mom offered up an idea that I didn't really like at first, but after thinking about it, man, it started to make sense. She suggested that I go to a junior college for 1 year. She said it'll give me a chance to prove that I can maintain good grades and also show off my skill against players a little bit older and more experienced than me. Well, after weighing out all my options, I decided to commit to Independence Community College. They're about 9 hours away in Independence, Kansas. You probably remember them from season 3 of Last Chance U. Well, I hear they got a pretty decent team this year, and it looks like they got some nice facilities as well, so we gonna see. So tomorrow, I'll be jumping on a Greyhound headed to Kansas to start school. I decided to leave my car here with Bree so she'll be able to make it to and from her doctor's appointments. Honestly, I hate I'm not gonna be able to go with her, but at this point, it just kinda is what it is. My mom and my aunt agreed to help her out if she ever needs anything. This is really gonna be my first time being away from home and I won't know anybody. But I'm treating this like a business trip. Yeah, I'm not going to have fun. I just want to lock in and do my job and then come back home in a few months with the D1 scholarship offer. Coming into camp, the coaches had me rated as an 85 overall, which honestly wasn't too bad. But I noticed they had me listed as the 3rd string receiver on the depth chart. Now, that's where I had a problem because I knew damn well there wasn't 2 other receivers better than me on this roster. So I made it my personal goal to move up to at least the number 2 position by the time the season started. Early on in camp, things were a bit tough. I realized there was a major skill difference between the guys I was used to playing against in high school. Not only skill, but there was also a huge strength difference as well. I was dropping quite a few passes, my routes were sloppy, and honestly, I was just being outplayed, but of course that didn't last very long. See, the one thing I have that can't be taught is speed. Once I realized that the DBs couldn't keep up with me, I started having my way. I think it was about midway through camp that the coaches started to take notice of all my improvements, and before I knew it, I had moved up to the 2nd string slot. Not only was I putting in work on the football field, but I had also joined the track team as well. Of course, I didn't have any real intentions of actually competing in the track meet, but I figured if I could sharpen up my running form, it would increase my speed. JUCO college is actually pretty boring. If I wasn't at football practice or somewhere on the track, I was in the classroom learning or in the library studying, or probably in my dorm room sleep. It honestly felt like a boot camp, but I low-key kind of liked it. The national junior college rankings got released, and I saw that 2 of our opponents were ranked inside of the top 10, Dodge City Community College and Hutchinson. Now this was great because I knew all the scouts would be watching these 2 games, which only meant that that was another opportunity for me to shine. Not only that, but Hutchinson was the favorite to win the JUCO championship this year. So if I was able to have a great game versus them, I could really put my name on the map. Coming into the first game of the season, I was looking to send a message early. We'd be at home versus the Butler Grizzlies, and it was clear that we were the far better team from kickoff. All the time I put in on the track during the preseason paid off immediately as my breakaway speed was way too much for the defense to handle. I scored my first touchdown in my young college career. While I was here at the JUCO level, I definitely wanted to focus on improving my run blocking because I knew that would be a major requirement at whatever school I went to next. But on our next possession, I would find the end zone again on the deep post route. Even though I was just a freshman, I was getting looks early on in our first game, so that tells me that I must have really did my thing in fall camp because the quarterback showed he had a lot of confidence in me. I was off to a great start and it was beginning to look like there was nothing the defense would be able to do to slow me down. But I took a pretty hard hit to the chest right before halftime and that would have me sidelined until midway through the third quarter. Once I got back on the field, we had a pretty comfortable lead, but coach was still aggressive with his play calling. This was a good sign of what's to come because as y'all know, my goal was to pad my stats as much as possible. That way I can get the attention from those D1 schools. We went on to beat the Grizzlies pretty easy in what was a good overall team win. Although I went down with a minor injury, I still had a hell of a day and put up some crazy numbers for my first game in college. Our first road game of the season came against Garden City. Now this was our first big test. Everything that could go wrong went wrong. But you never know how good you are until you face some adversity, right? Well, down by 7 points in the first quarter, we had just started our drive up the field, but a big hit by the Garden City defense led to a fumble. Luckily, our defense was able to force the 3 and out, but on our very next possession, I called for the ball while running through traffic. My quarterback put his trust in me, and unfortunately, I wasn't able to come through, and the play resulted in an interception. That was 2 back-to-back turnovers on 2 back-to-back drives. All the momentum was with Garden City, so if we was gonna get back into this game, we definitely had to get the ball moving upfield. Coach put us all together on the sideline and told us to just calm down and work through our offense. So when we got back on the field, that's exactly what we did. That same post route that resulted in the interception in the first quarter is the same post route that led to my first touchdown of the game. I gotta give credit to my quarterback Justin, man. He saw me call for the ball and he didn't hesitate to throw it to me. Trailing by just 3 points to start the third quarter, the game had become a shootout. Garden City wasn't taking a step back and we for sure wasn't going nowhere. I was looking to make an impact on the game in any way I could, but I got a little bit overzealous. I realized in this game that my attack for the ball could be a lot better, so that's something I need to work on going forward. We were able to push the defense back to right outside the red zone. Then my boy Justin threw an absolute dart to our tight end who found his way into the end zone, giving us the lead. Luckily, our defense was able to get the stop as well, so we got the ball right back before the end of the third quarter. They say real playmakers step up and make plays when it's needed the most. Well, I had the go route and I completely burnt my defender, moving us right outside the end zone, and we were able to score on the very next play. But unfortunately, the game wasn't over as Garden City came back with 2 scores of their own. We had 43 seconds to try to win the game. Somebody needed to step up and make a big play, so who better else to do it than me? I caught the ball in the middle of the defense and took the top off, breaking 2 tackles and running in for a touchdown. I think it's safe to say that this game a star was born, cause hey bro, I did my thing. But yet again, Garden City refused to give up as they were able to get a field goal, tying the game and sending it into overtime. On 3rd and 8 before breaking the huddle, Justin told us like, bro, just get open. I did just that. I thought I was wide open in the middle of the end zone, but he actually decided to throw directly to the Garden City defender. Luckily, he wasn't clutch enough to catch the interception and my boy caught it for the touchdown. We actually went on to take the victory on the road in overtime by just 1 point. We were 2-0 on the season and we were coming off a hard-fought victory versus Garden City. Now we were back on the road versus Dodge City. The team was in pretty good shape, not too many injuries. I mean, of course we were a little banged up, but everybody was still ready to go. Now, I had started to build a small buzz. Now, I wouldn't say I was becoming a star of the team or anything like that, but it was clear that I was definitely becoming a go-to target in our offense. But it was also equally clear that I still had a lot more work to do. Yeah, I didn't have a problem getting open or beating my defenders in one-on-one coverage, but it was the zone coverages that would always give me a problem. And that's really because I wasn't aggressive enough or getting good position while the ball was still in the air. That's definitely something I have to work on because the defenders only get bigger and stronger on the next level. We had jumped out to an early 4-point lead and I was quietly having a hell of a game. Like, bruh, I was doing everything but getting into the end zone. I pulled off like 6 big plays before halftime. And see, there again is just another example as to how I'm not aggressive enough when the ball is in the air. But it's all good though. That's what JUCO is for, man. We only gonna get better. But look, we were able to jump out to an 11-point lead going into the second half. But unfortunately, that touchdown at the end of the second quarter would be the last touchdown that we scored all game. Bruh, Dodge City came out and scored back to back to back. I don't know what our defense had going on, but it definitely wasn't nothing good. I tried to do my part, but unfortunately it wasn't enough as we suffered our first loss of the season. To be honest with you, I much rather would have been blown out because anybody who's played sports, they'll tell you, man, those close losses hurt way more than when you get blown out by like 30 or 40 points. But hey, man, it is what it is. We were finally back at home taking on the Coffeeville Red Ravens, or something like that, whatever their name is. But anyways, the team morale was still pretty high and everybody was still pretty focused. Me personally, I was definitely still locked in because our next game was versus Hutchinson. And I knew that would be my moment to shine and let everybody know that I was the real deal. So I couldn't afford to get unfocused. We jumped out to a huge 21-3 lead. And the crazy thing is the game had literally just started. It was only the beginning of the second quarter. Yeah, man, we was putting a beating on them Red Ravens. But see, it's games like these that you should really use to work on your craft. While everybody else was having fun sea-walking on our opponent, I was actually working on my craft. Yeah, every time I saw the opportunity to call for the ball, bruh, my hand was in the air and my quarterback was actually rocking with me. Yeah, he threw it my way just about every time. My performance in this game actually earned me National Offensive JUCO Player of the Week. Now, yes, it was just JUCO, but that's cool, bruh. I needed all the clout, all the momentum, and all the attention going into that Hutchinson game. So, hey, it couldn't have came at a better time. The number 5 ranked team in all of JUCO football. Yeah, they were number 3, but they had a loss on the season just like us. But anyways, the 5th ranked team in the nation, bruh. The Hutchinson Blue Dragons were in front of us, and it was time for me to put on a show. This was my moment, bruh. All the scouts in the nation had been watching Hutchinson. So for me to come out here and put on a show, that would raise my stock through the roof. I knew coming into this game that the stakes were high. I knew if I had a great game, all the buzz that I lost when Kentucky pulled that scholarship away from me would come rushing back all at once. So I went out there and played like a madman. I literally had the best game I think I've ever had. I'm talking about like even since way back in middle school. I put up video game like numbers. I think I'm speaking for everybody when I say that they definitely weren't as tough as we expected. Now, I'm not saying they were a hype job or overrated or anything like that, because they definitely were good, but I honestly think we was just so motivated and so locked in that they didn't stand a chance. We went on to beat the brakes off the number 5 team in the nation, and honestly, I think that was all we needed to get our mojo back, because after the game, bro, everybody was on 10. All right, bro. Look, maybe I spoke a little bit too soon, man. Yeah, maybe I spoke a little bit too soon about us getting our mojo back and us standing on business and all that, because our next game, we was back at home taking on Pitt State, and bruh, we was trash. Like, I don't know what was going on, man, but we couldn't move the ball to save our life. It was almost like it was our first time playing together. You know, every time we got the ball, it resulted in a turnover, interceptions, fumbles. I don't know what was going on, man. But if you didn't notice, in this game versus Pitt, I was lined up on the left side of the field. Well, that's because I got moved up to the number 1 spot. Yeah, I became the number 1 wide receiver on the team. After my performance versus Hutch, I also received another National JUCO Player of the Week, so I pretty much solidified myself as the best. But yeah, man, we definitely got done bad when we played against Pitt State. I know we were the better team, so I really don't know where our head was, but if I'm being honest with y'all, man, speaking for myself, that Hutchinson game was really my Super Bowl. I knew the severity of me having a good performance. Like, honestly, that's the game I was really looking forward to. So after that, it was kind of like, bro, what is we even playing for? Like, we in JUCO. Don't nobody really too much care about our record, and everybody's just playing to get out of here. Like, everybody's playing to make it to the next level. So I knew that Hutchinson game would be my Super Bowl. So after that, I definitely wasn't as motivated as I should have been. And what would be the final game of my JUCO career? We'd be on the road taking on Tulsa Community College. Now, they were actually the number 1 ranked JUCO in the nation. Yeah, they were a lot better than Hutchinson, and honestly, it kind of showed on the field. But at this point of the season, I had received offers from just about every college in the nation, so it was quite obvious that I'd be going D1. Not only that, but it wasn't like we was playing for no championship, so honestly, I wasn't really giving it my all. The only thing that was on my mind was to not get injured. But to be honest, bro, I was a little bit concerned because they were very good. Like, I struggled quite a bit during this game. I think it was 3 or maybe even 4 different times that the quarterback passed my way, and it led to an interception. I can give all the excuses in the book as to why I wasn't taking the game serious, but this game was really an eye-opener as to why I cannot afford to get comfortable. It's always somebody looking to take my spot, and it's only going to get worse the further I advance in this game. We went on to lose our final game of the season, and it was never really close. I mean, if I'm being real, we got blew out, man, but it was what it was. None of the coaches were too upset. None of the players really cared. Everybody on the team was just focused on their next move. You know, some guys would be here next year, and some guys were moving on to bigger and better things. Me personally, I already knew I was going D1, so hey, I was just ready to close out this chapter and head back home so I could see my shorty. After my freshman season at Independence Community College in Kansas, I returned back home to Kentucky. As soon as I got there, Bree brought my son over to the crib. Now this was only my second time seeing him in person. The school allowed me to fly in when he was born so I could see him get delivered, but other than that, I've only seen him through FaceTime. Bree and I stepped outside to have a much needed conversation. Remember, we weren't dating when we found out she was pregnant. Nah, we was just cool, just really vibing together. But now that we have a child, we needed to figure out exactly where we stood. So we just agreed to do the co-parenting thing. No relationship, no feelings, just raising our son together. But look, since Bree had him while I was at school playing football, now that the season was over and I was back at home taking online classes, I offered to take him so she could focus and finish her classes. I was officially a full-time dad. That summer, my boy Nasir had came back from Texas A&M, so we started training together in my aunt's backyard. He was really giving me all the game of what I should expect on the next level and how crazy the college lifestyle is. Unfortunately, things didn't work out for him in Texas, so he decided to jump into the transfer portal. He'll be playing in Northern Illinois next season. He asked me where I had planned on playing, and honestly, I didn't even know.
So bro, talk to me. Have you decided what school you gonna commit to yet? I know you missed the big time now. You can play wherever you want and shit.
Nah, bro, I'm still weighing out all my options, but to be honest with you, I'm going wherever they offering the biggest bag. I got a son now, so my main concern is really making sure he's straight.
Well, hey man, don't sleep on NIU. We not the biggest program out there, but it's looking like we finna have a pretty solid squad next season.
Damn, bro, they got you out here recruiting, huh? That's crazy.
Man, hell nah, bro. I'm just saying, us both on the same team would be crazy. We'd be unstoppable for real, just like in high school.
I was ranked as the #1 junior college recruit in the nation after my one season at Independence. They had me listed as a 4-star player with the NIL evaluation of just over $350,000. I got offers from just about every school in the nation, but just like I told Nasir, I was chasing that bag. Not only that, but I wanted to make sure I had instant playing time. Yeah, I wasn't trying to spend half the year sitting on the bench. But after really weighing out all my options, I decided to commit to USC. Now I'll be honest, I never saw myself playing on the West Coast, but they gave me an offer I couldn't refuse. I'm sure y'all remember that Instagram post from former SC quarterback Caleb Williams-Loft. Remember the one that went viral? Well, I thought that maybe the media was just making something out of nothing. I figured there was no way he was living like that in college, but bro, I was wrong. USC blessed me with a nice loft as well. I mean, it's actually an apartment and it's definitely not as big as Caleb's was, but hey, it's way better than having to stay in them dorms. Y'all gotta remember, I'm coming from my aunt's crib, a 3-bedroom house with like 12 people living in it. So when I found out this is where they was gonna have me staying, coming here was a no-brainer. My first NIL deal came from this barbershop in downtown LA. Literally all I had to do was show up, take a few pictures, and get a haircut. I mean, it was the easiest money I ever made in my life. But look, I went home that evening and really started researching on how to capitalize off my brand. I realized the more popular I was, the more attention I got, and with more attention came more money. It was at that exact moment that I decided to become a superstar. So the first step to becoming a superstar is your image. I know some people would probably say work ethic and determination, and don't get me wrong, all that's a part of it, but to me, your image is most important. So I went shopping. Louis Vuitton, Gucci, Givenchy, Dior, Versace, you name it, I got it. Now next, I needed a car, but it couldn't just be any car. Yeah, I needed something that was gonna stand out and turn heads. So first, I was gonna get that new 2024 Scat Pack. But then after giving it some thought, I was like, nah, that's a bit too basic. And I really didn't like the new body style, so I passed on that one. Then I had settled on a brand new 2024 BMW M5 G90. Like I had my mind set on this one, bro. This was the one. But after really looking at it, I felt like it wasn't flashy enough and it would probably blend into traffic too easy. So that's when I decided to go with this bad boy, the brand new 2024 Tesla Cybertruck. Now hear me out. I know it's ugly. I mean, that's actually the point. It turns heads. People can't help but look at it. So that means when they see it, they'll see me. Get it? When I first stepped on campus, my personal brand was extremely low. I mean, nobody really knew who I was. But by the end of the season, I had well over 1 million followers and everybody knew my name. Coming into camp, I was the second receiver on the depth chart. But just like when I played at Independence, I knew that wouldn't last very long. Yeah, it was only a matter of time before the team belonged to me. Our first game of the season definitely wasn't a soft touch. We'd be on the road about 4.5 hours away from home in Las Vegas, Nevada, taking on LSU. Being nervous was an understatement. I swear, walking out that tunnel and seeing all those screaming fans had me damn near paralyzed, but I was able to keep my composure for the most part. Coming out in the first game of my sophomore season, I was just looking to make an impact, but the impact I had in the first quarter definitely was not the impact I was looking for. I had a curl route, and if you ask me, I ran it perfectly. Like, I'm talking about to a T. But the LSU defender jumped the route, caught the interception, and took it home for 6. I was rolling around on the ground like an idiot, bro. I swear that was the most embarrassing moment of my life. I learned quick that if you're gonna play the game on this level, you gotta have thick skin. Not only that, but you gotta almost have short-term memory loss. One moment, the crowd is booing you and you feel like you're the worst player in the world. And then the next moment, you make a good play and they screaming your name. I was able to make a few key catches to put us in position to score, but unfortunately, we weren't able to find the end zone and had to settle for a field goal. But on our next drive, my boy Zachariah completely torched the LSU defense and ran into the end zone for 6. Up until this point, I was having a pretty solid game. Like I said before, I was making a few key catches, picking up first downs. I mean, everything was working in my favor. But on our first drive to start the third quarter, tragedy struck as my quarterback tried to hit me on the post route but threw an interception. Now, if I'm being honest, that definitely wasn't my fault because I didn't even call for the ball, but I mean, it is what it is. What really pissed me off though was the LSU defenders celebrating. I knew I needed to make up for that interception, so on our very next drive, it was 3rd and 14 and I came in clutch, bro. I went for 70 yards completely untouched by the Tiger defense, scoring my first touchdown of my sophomore career. That play was the turning point of the game as we went on to beat the LSU Tigers by 3 points for our season opener. Our first home game of the season came against Utah State. We were the number 19th ranked team in the nation. Listen, when the Trojans have a winning team, the fan support is crazy. Seeing all that cardinal and gold in the stands had me on 10. I don't know, bruh. It was just like an energy boost. It was really something I never felt before. Even though my quarterback Moses and I had a few mishaps in the first game of the season, in our second game versus Utah State, he was still looking my way. It's almost like he never lost confidence in me, which was a huge confidence booster considering this was my first year with the team. We got down to right outside the end zone. He looked my way, but unfortunately the defense read the play like a book. Jumping ahead to the third quarter, we had a 4-point lead, and I had actually been sitting on the sideline pretty much that whole time. Being that we have so much depth when it comes to our wide receivers, the coaches rotated us out pretty often. I didn't really like it, but I mean, I was new here, so I really didn't have a voice. Also, the thing I really want y'all to pay attention to is I'm actually running my routes, bro. I'm not out here just running around like a chicken with his head cut off. No, I'm literally making plays within our offense, bruh. The fourth quarter came along, and at that point, I was having a pretty decent night. I think I had like 5 catches for maybe 50 or 60 yards, but I still hadn't scored. So on 1st and goal, I had that same slant route that got knocked down in the first half, but this time I caught the touchdown for 6. We went on to put a beating on Utah State at home and increase our record to 2-0 on the season. Week 3 of the season was technically our first road game. I mean, technically it was our second because we have opened up the season in Vegas, but you get what I'm saying. Anyways, we was on the road in Michigan, and leading up to that game, everybody was trying to tell me how crazy the atmosphere was gonna be. I thought they was just being extra, but bruh, it was insane. All week during practice, the coaches were trying to simulate and recreate that environment by playing loud music and crowd noises over the PA system, but bro, nothing compares to that environment. I'm not being extra when I tell you I couldn't even hear myself think. Now, coming out in this game, they had me matched up with one of their best DBs, Will Johnson. Now, this dude is a dog. I mean, he's a first-team All-American, All-Big Ten. He's really that dude. So to be matched up against a player of his caliber in an environment like this, I'll admit, it was a little bit intimidating. We came out pretty strong on our first drive and we were moving the ball pretty well. And then Will Johnson stepped up and made a huge play. He was able to get an interception after jumping my post route, but I credit that to the stadium noise because I was totally confused as to what route I was supposed to be running in the first place. But don't get it twisted, yeah, I'm just like him. I'm a dog too. So on our next drive, I went straight for Buddy's neck. I had the go route and I blew right by him. I'm telling you, I'm one of the fastest players in all of college football. So any DB that tries to jam me at the line is going to end up bad every time. That play was really the only bright spot of the game. Well, for me at least, because I was on the sideline for the majority of the time. I honestly think the coaches felt like the moment may have been a bit too big for me, so they didn't even let me play, even though I was making plays. Down by 3 points with 7 seconds left on the clock, I actually ran a post route, but I was supposed to run a go route. Not only was I confused, but my quarterback was as well, and he actually ended up throwing the ball into traffic, which led to an interception. We ended up losing our first game of the season on the road to Michigan by only 3 points. After our loss to Michigan, we had dropped down to the number 17th ranked team in the nation. Now, I figured we'd probably fall a little bit lower than that, but I wasn't too concerned because there were still a lot of games left in the season. But we'd be back at home taking on Wisconsin, and listen, this was definitely my coming out party. I sat and studied the film of the Michigan game, and honestly, I was embarrassed. Not only did I get outplayed, but my quarterback and I looked totally out of sync. So all week leading up to the Wisconsin game, Miller and I got in some extra reps every day after practice. Well, those extra reps after practice proved to be extremely beneficial because I did my thing. I believe I only had like 6 or 7 catches, but I went for over 150 receiving yards. We went on to beat Wisconsin at home in a pretty easy game. Our defense kind of gave up a few big plays, but other than that, man, the team was looking good. The next week, we be on the road in Minnesota taking on the Golden Gophers. Now, this game actually started off pretty crazy because literally the first play of the game was an interception. Then they jumped out to a 14-0 lead on us, but that didn't last very long because on our next drive, I would make the SportsCenter top 10 #1 play, bruh. All season, I had been telling my quarterback Miller, like, bro, when you see my hand in the air, just throw the ball up and I'ma go get it. Well, I did just that. I went up and grabbed it with one hand. This catch went viral. I swear I must have gained like 50,000 new followers after this hit social media. Anyways, we went on to take the easy victory on the road and improved our record to 4-1 on the season. Penn State was our next opponent. Now, they were having a pretty good season. We actually had the same exact record, so we came into this game knowing it was going to be tough. But towards the end of the second quarter, I would score the easiest touchdown of my entire career. I don't know what type of coverage they was in. I don't know if it was zone or man or what, but I definitely wasn't complaining because I caught the ball wide open in the end zone. The third quarter came, and up until that point, we were running a pretty balanced offense. Now, before coming to USC, I hated the run game. Like, I just felt like it was a waste of time to be out there blocking. But the more I learned about the game, the more I changed my mind. See, the more we actually ran the ball, the more the defense would start to press up to try to shut down the run. Well, of course, that's when I would take the lid off and kill the defense over the top for like a 60-yard bomb. But in the third quarter, I committed a crucial error. I tried to do way too much and reverse the ball upfield, but I ended up losing like 10 yards. Bro, the coach was pissed. He said if I didn't know which way we was going, then I didn't need to be on the field. So I stood on the sideline till the fourth quarter. The fourth quarter came and we were down by 1 point with only 45 seconds left. I had just gotten to the game, bro, and I was ready to make a play. But that's when my boy Miller dropped back and threw an 85-yard missile to my guy Zachariah for the game winner, bruh. The stadium went crazy, bruh. It was actually sounding like Michigan in there for a minute, bruh. But we went on to pull off the last second win at home, beating Penn State. We had finally cracked the top 10 for the first time this season. The buzz surrounding the program was crazy. I was no longer just a local celebrity. Nah, bruh, people knew me all around the world. Well, at least that's how it felt. But anyways, we were back on the road taking on Maryland. Now, this was a very dangerous team. At the time we played them, they actually had a 5-1 record just like us, so we definitely couldn't afford to take these boys lightly. Not only had I become a superstar off the field, but on the field, I actually became a target to opposing DBs. Yeah, they were trying to get some clout off my name. I could feel it, bruh. See, they knew if they had a good game versus me, then their name would start to get out there, but I wasn't having it. I knew every game the opposing DBs would be bringing their best, so I brought mine. Well, that never back down mentality would lead to several battles throughout the season. I'll be honest, there were a few plays that the DB would get the best of me, but of course I wasn't tucking my tail. No, I came back and got what was mine. The game versus Maryland was close. Until it wasn't. I mean, we would eventually pull away and pick up the win on the road. I would have one of my best games of the season, going for over 150 yards on only 6 catches. After my performance versus Maryland, it was pretty much undeniable that I was now the #1 receiver on the roster. So of course that meant that I would switch from the right side to the left-hand side of the field. So that took a little bit of getting used to. Now, the main thing I was concerned about was my boy Zachariah. I mean, of course we was cool, but at the end of the day, we all trying to make it to the next level. So I didn't know how he would feel getting his spot taken, but credit to him because all he did was play 10 times better. Like, he really stepped his game up. But look, the crazy thing about our schedule this season was every single team we played was good. Like, we didn't get any of those pushover teams. I mean, look, Rutgers, for example, they were the 23rd ranked team in the nation. That's crazy. We were able to pull away and get the win at home, improving our record to 7-1 on the season. My boy Zachariah had an amazing performance, and I could tell he was hungry for a spot back, but I wasn't gonna let that happen. At this point, we were now the #2 team in the nation. Honestly, bro, it started to get a little bit scary because it was starting to look like we could really do it. Like, we really could win the national championship. And the crazy part is, we showed no sign of slowing down. No injuries, Nothing. Like, we was good. But we would be on the road taking on Washington. This would actually be one of my favorite stadiums that we played in all season. Now, Washington was one of the few unranked teams that we played, so y'all know I had to do my thing. From the very first kickoff, this game was a complete domination. You could literally take my highlights from this game alone and compare them to somebody else's entire season highlights. Like, that's how crazy I went. This was really my best performance of the season, for real, for real. If I'm not mistaken, I think my quarterback Miller actually broke a record for like the most passing yards or most touchdowns in the game. It was one of the two. My boy broke a record in this game. That's how uneven it was, man. But we went on to pick up the win on the road, improving our record to 9-1 on the season. But look, after the Washington game, I got a huge honor. Yeah, man, I actually won the Big Ten Offensive Player of the Week. Now, that's actually pretty crazy if you think about all the performances that I had throughout the season. This was my first time winning it. I don't know, bro. That kind of sounded a little sketchy, bro. But anyways, I was honored. I finished the Washington game with 8 receptions for 227 yards and 3 touchdowns. Again, keep in mind, I'm not running my own routes. I'm doing all of this within the offense. Somehow we dropped down one spot to the number 3 team in the nation. I don't know what happened. Honestly, the whole ranking system doesn't make any sense because we didn't lose, so why would we go down one spot? But anyways, all week, coach told us not to worry about the rankings or the headlines or the media. He told us to just stay focused and play. Well, y'all should know better than that, man. That's all I was really caring about. I was reading every headline and every article about me. Like, I was really invested in it. And surprisingly, I still had a lot of doubters out there. I mean, I had been performing at this same level all season, so what was there to doubt? We had Nebraska at home, and they were the number 18th ranked team in the nation. They had only lost 2 games on the season. That's what I'm trying to get y'all to understand, bro. I truly believe we had the toughest schedule out of any other football team in college football. We jumped out to a 4-point lead with about 2 minutes left in the first half. That's when I would make back-to-back plays that put us in position to score. I truly don't understand why defenses keep trying to cover us in man-to-man. We got way too many weapons on this team. Anyways, we were able to drive the ball down to about the 30-yard line, and that's when my boy Miller found our tight end cutting over the middle for 6. Our defense did their thing as they were able to keep the Cornhuskers completely scoreless in the second half. We walked away with the win at home, improving our record to 9-1 on the season. I did my thing, finishing the game with 7 receptions for 129 yards. Now, me personally, this is the game I have been waiting on all season. Now, I understand they're not our biggest rivals. They're more so like our little brothers, but hey, I still wanted that smoke with them boys. The UCLA Bruins. Now, we had officially became the number 1 team in the country. They was ranked number 20. So I know all that was on their mind was beating us and knocking us out of that number 1 spot. But I couldn't allow that, man. I came into this game on 10. I was extremely excited. Bro, we were playing at the Rose Bowl. I remember being at the crib and watching Vince Young versus Reggie Bush play here. I stayed up super late just trying to see the end of that game. So for me to actually be on the number 1 team playing at the Rose Bowl, man, that moment felt so surreal. I learned a lot about myself in this game though. See, the Bruins knew that if they wanted any chance to win, they would have to completely take me out of the game. And I'll be honest, bro, they actually did a pretty good job. So that's when I realized I would actually have to be a decoy in our offense, which really wasn't a role I was accustomed to. Midway through the game, the coach let me know, like, bro, you just gonna have to run your routes as if you gonna get the ball, knowing damn well we wasn't finna pass to you. And that's exactly what I did. I was out there running full stride, doing everything I could to get open, just for my quarterback to check the ball down on one of my teammates to pick up the first down. It was kind of tough, bro. It was like a mental battle, but it's definitely something I gotta work on, and I honestly think I grew as a player. We were down by 6 points with about 3.5 minutes left on the clock. We was in pretty good position to go ahead and take the lead. We were able to pick up a few back-to-back big plays to move the ball right outside the goal line. That's when the coach called my number on a slant route. I was able to complete the catch, but unfortunately I was just short of the touchdown. But on the very next play, we were able to run it in and take the lead. But unfortunately, we left way too much time on the clock, and UCLA was able to run their 2-minute offense and score, beating us on the road by only 2 points. After that tough loss to UCLA, we'd be back at home. But we couldn't afford to get comfortable because our biggest ops were right in front of us. One of the biggest rivalries in all of college football, USC versus the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Now, I truly don't believe we were supposed to lose that game versus the Bruins. I mean, honestly, just think about it. A little bit better clock management, it would have been a totally different outcome. Anyways, there was no way we were going to lose back-to-back rivalry games. Now, after that loss versus the Bruins, we did drop down quite a bit from the number 1 team in the nation to the number 8 team, but that wasn't too bad. Now, Notre Dame was ranked number 17th in the nation, so I was thinking that if we had a pretty good game versus them, we could probably find our way back into the top 5 teams. This was our final game of the season, and if I'm gonna be real with y'all, everybody was a little bit emotional. Man, I still remember fall workouts and summer camp, like bruh, it was really the last game of the season. Now, of course, we were still guaranteed to at least one bowl game, but no, our mind was focused on beating Notre Dame, and then we were looking ahead to the college football playoff. You know, it's really amazing what a team can accomplish when everybody is locked in and focused on doing their job. Like, if we all have one common goal, I feel like we were truly unstoppable. Like, on some real stuff, bro, I think it would have took like Pat Mahomes or, you know, like an NFL team to beat us on that day. To be honest with you, from the kickoff, Notre Dame didn't stand a chance. We were able to get the easy win at home over our rivals and put it into what was a pretty great season. We finished with a 10-2 record, and now our eyes were set on postseason play. Before the start of last season, I sat in my apartment at USC and I developed a plan to become a superstar. I wanted to be just like one of those athletes whose name outgrew the sport that they played. You know, like Muhammad Ali or MJ. Well, I knew just being myself wouldn't be enough. Nah, I needed to become someone else, someone bigger, someone unreachable. So that's when I created a character, B. Jones. See, B. Jones was cocky and confident like primetime Dion. Before the games, he'd be all business. But after the games, his press conferences were nothing short of amazing, regardless if the team won or lost. Yeah, my new B. Jones character, he was also flashy and flamboyant like Money Mayweather, dripped in designer, neck and wrist flooded with diamonds, and an ego larger than life. This dude B. Jones was a ladies' man too. I'm talking like Brad Pitt, Idris Elba, even Leo. It seemed like everywhere he went, he had a dime with him at all times. Movie premieres, nightclubs, concerts. If it was popping, B. Jones was in attendance, and he was the center of attention every time. Constantly being in that spotlight skyrocketed his brand as superstardom, as he was able to gain well over 5 million followers in only a few months. Of course, the newfound fame also came with massive NIL deals from some of the most recognizable brands in the world. Not only that, but the Trojans, they were actually good. I mean, midway through the season, they were ranked in the top 10 in college football, and B. Jones was the best wide receiver in the nation. Balance is oftentimes considered the key to a successful life, but a life without balance could potentially cost you your health, your wealth, and your happiness. Well, for the first 6 weeks of the season, I was able to balance my life off the field as a superstar and my life on the field as a college athlete pretty well. But it wouldn't be long before the two started to interfere with each other. We had a 2-week break during the season, so I decided to catch a flight back home to Kentucky to see my family and, you know, just escape that LA lifestyle for a little bit. I never thought I'd be saying this, but I was actually starting to miss that cold weather. When I got to the crib though, the driveway was full of cars. My mom and my aunt told the whole damn neighborhood I was gonna be in town, so the house was full of people. Old friends and family that I had honestly forgotten about. They kept telling me all these stories and how they knew I was gonna be a star one day and basically how proud of me they were. I don't really know how to explain the feeling, but it was almost like I was larger than life. I mean, I was used to getting attention from strangers back in LA, but when it's people you actually know singing your praises, it hit a bit different. Anyways, I left there and went over to Brianna's crib to see my son, and honestly, that was the highlight of my trip. It was crazy to see just how fast he was growing. But look, the visit took a turn for the worse. Bri and I stepped aside to have a conversation, and I was completely caught off guard. She basically let me know that she was no longer happy with our co-parenting arrangement anymore, and she was gonna put me on child support. I was just trying to figure out where this all was coming from, but I quickly realized what it was about. All Bree kept saying was, I know you got hella bitches in LA and them bitches in LA. Like, that's all she was worried about. That's all she kept bringing up was the women she saw me with on social media. Me and Bree were never together, but apparently she was in her feelings for some reason. Believe it or not though, that was the last time seeing my son. Bree stopped answering my calls and FaceTime, and she even blocked my mom and my aunt's number too. If I'm being honest, that mid-season trip back home was the start of all my problems. I had to worry about Bree tripping, but I mean, I wasn't too concerned because I knew she would eventually come back around. She was just in her feelings. But the way my old friends and family were treating me made me feel like an even bigger superstar. I let that feeling go to my head, and well, when I got back to Cali, I turned everything up a notch. So we'll start with the women. I don't even remember half of their names, but I swear every night it was a new face at the crib. If she was an 8 or better, I had to get her. I mean, it got so bad that I started hitting 7s and even a couple of 3s, but they don't count because I was drunk. Well, me being reckless led to me getting this girl named Nicole pregnant. And the sad part about it is I don't even remember when it happened, but yeah, I got another baby on the way. And honestly, y'all the first people I'm telling this to. I still haven't built up enough courage to tell my mom or my aunt yet. Now, let's talk about the drinking. It was common for me to be passed out in a club on a weekday or sometimes even after a game. And apparently I was an angry drunk because more times than not, I would wake up in a holding cell with a massive headache. I guess I would start fights with the bouncers or just random people at the club. The cops would come and then I'd start tripping with them. I was in a bad spot in my life, but surprisingly, I was playing better than ever on the field. I was still the best receiver in college football and the team was still winning. But there was another problem. I never went to class, and before I knew it, I had become academically ineligible at the worst possible time, right before the conference championship game. I was so embarrassed that I didn't even travel with the team to the conference championship game. Instead, I just watched it at the crib. I'm pretty sure my coaches felt some type of way, but it was what it was. They ended up winning the championship game, and then we had our eyes set on the first round of the college football playoffs. But first, I caught a flight out to New York City for the college football awards. I was able to fly my mom, my aunt, and all my cousins out there. Brianna's trifling ass wouldn't let my son come out, but yeah, your boy ended up taking home the Blitnikoff Award for the best receiver in the country. I honestly felt like I should have been in that Heisman conversation, but I knew they wasn't going to let that happen considering I had just gotten suspended. We had a few weeks to get ready for the first round of the playoffs. The whole team was locked in. I had finally got my grades high enough to be eligible to rejoin the team. Well, listen, one night I was about to leave the library and head back to the crib, but that's when I got this text inviting me to this little shindig. I knew with our first playoff game being right around the corner, the team's curfew was being strictly enforced, and I should have just went home, but of course, I pulled up to the party. The picture you're seeing on your screen is the same picture that went viral on social media and eventually made its way to SportsCenter, and of course, my coach seen it, and it was all downhill from there. That one split-second decision really ruined my career. My mom had been warning me about my behavior. She would always say, "Baby, they'll tolerate you until they can replace you." Well, the next thing I knew, I was in a meeting with the head coach and the head of player personnel, and they basically just let me know that I had become a distraction and I was no longer a part of the team. I'll be the first to admit that I got lost in the sauce. The money, the fame, the women, the fake friends, the alcohol, the headlines, the rumors. Yeah, it all became a bit too much and I ended up crashing out. So now I'm back here at square one. Look, I don't know what my next move should be because I think it's safe to say I've earned the reputation of being a problem off the field. So I'm sure not too many teams would be willing to take a chance on me. So I honestly don't know. I'm just going to take some time and figure out my life. I'll tap back in with y'all on the next one. The last time y'all saw me, I was in a bad spot. I had just gotten kicked off the team at USC, and I had no idea what my next move was going to be. Well, a lot has changed since then, and I think you'll be quite surprised by the way things turned out. You know, there's a quote that says you get what you focus on, so focus on what you want. Oftentimes, we get off track by chasing things that don't align with our goals. Well, I had to lock back in and get focused on what was truly important. After leaving LA and coming back to Kentucky, I could have easily got my own crib, but I knew I needed to be surrounded by my family. Man, I was getting killed online for getting kicked off the team right before the playoffs. Some of the hate was coming from the USC fans, which I understood, but then the rest of them was just trolls. They was telling me my career was over and to go ahead and put the fries in the bag. Well, I quickly realized you can't beat the internet, so I eventually just deleted my social media accounts completely. Of course, since I was back in town, the main thing I wanted to do was see my son, but Brianna was still tripping. Now, she did agree to meet me, but when she showed up, she was by herself. I'm like, bro, I didn't come to see you. But anyways, we ended up having a pretty productive conversation. She explained how she felt, and I honestly understood things from her point of view. I was away at Independence playing football for the majority of her pregnancy, so she was all alone. And then once she gave birth, I was in LA living a California dream while she was raising my son. When I looked at things from her perspective, who wouldn't feel a type of way? After the meeting with Bree, I pulled up to my high school to see my old football coach. I never had a dad, so honestly, he was the closest thing to a father figure. I knew since I was back in town, I had to go chop it up with him because whether I wanted to hear it or not, he was always gonna keep it real with me.
You know, Brandon, I'm amazed at how stupid you really are.
Man, come on, coach.
No, I'm serious. You need to be looked at by some specialists because you a special kind of stupid. For you to have that type of potential and throw it away is insane to me.
But I'm saying, coach, it wasn't even my fault.
Man, I don't care whose fault it is. All I know is that you went down there to them white people's institution and you showed your ass. Now you sitting here in my face looking stupid. Look, man, You only get so many opportunities in life, and you already wasted 2 of them. Now you keep on keeping on, and you gonna be right back here with me, poisoning the brains of our future leaders of this country. I'm going on home. Lucille done made weenies.
Once again, Coach was absolutely right. I mean, I had lost my scholarship offer to Kentucky. Then I got the opportunity to go play at USC and got kicked off the team there. I have way too many people depending on me not to make it. I can't afford to fail. It was at that moment that I knew exactly what my next move was going to be. Northern Illinois University would be my next stop for my junior year. It's crazy. I really went from playing JUCO football, then to the Big Ten, and now I would be playing in the MAC conference. But honestly, I think this was the right move. And shout out to my boy Nasir, man. He did a hell of a job recruiting me. But look, the NIU campus was cool. Now don't get me wrong, bro. I wouldn't say that it compares to USC or anything like that, but honestly, I think that's exactly what I needed, a small university. Yeah, I had to be real with myself and admit that I can't handle that party lifestyle. I need to be in a place where I can focus on school and football. Now, they do got some pretty decent facilities there as well. I mean, everything is state of the art, a pretty nice sized gym to train in. Plus, they got an indoor and outdoor practice facility. But the one thing, the one thing that was hard to get used to, man, was my dorm room. I mean, my apartment at USC was like a penthouse compared to the room I had here at NIU, but of course, I made it work. Now, I wanted a complete fresh start when I got to NIU. Yeah, I was throwing the whole B. Jones character out the window, and unfortunately, the Cybertruck had to go with it. I no longer wanted the extra attention off the field, so I had to let it go, but I mean, it was good while it lasted. But anyways, look, my boy Nasir had put on a lot of muscle, and honestly, I was low-key suspicious. Like, I thought my guy was juicing or something, but nah, he put me on game. See, he had been taking creatine and protein for the past few months, and my dog was on swole. So of course, I went and grabbed me some, and we both hit the gym together. Now, me and bro decided to arrive on campus about a month earlier than everybody else, so that way we could lock in and get in some extra work. Nasir is a DB, and obviously I'm a receiver, so of course, we swapped secrets and shared a few pointers with each other. I'm telling you, bro, it was some amazing work. So by the time the season started, we was on point. Kicking off our first game of the season, we would be at home versus the Oklahoma Sooners. Now, although this was our first game, bruh, it also was our first big test. But listen, man, our stadium definitely wasn't as big as the ones I was used to playing in when I was in the Big Ten Conference. But hey, the fans showed up and showed out. You would have thought we was playing in Oregon or something as loud as they were screaming. Now, it was clear from the kickoff that we were going to be outmatched in the trenches, but it was also clear that I didn't give a damn because my first catch of the game, I took up the field for 45 yards. But unfortunately, we had to settle for a field goal as we went 3 and out. Now, nobody wanted to admit it, but I knew what it was. A lot of the guys on the team were scared. And I understand. I mean, when you're playing up against a team with a big name like the Sooners, it can be a little bit intimidating. But me being one of the upperclassmen on the team, I just tried to stay encouraging to all the guys on the sideline. Like, they ain't no better than us, bruh. They just got a name, that's all. Now, we were facing a very long 3rd and 16. I just told my quarterback, Kenny, hey man, throw that thing up. Well, he threw it up, but unfortunately, I didn't come down with it, and we ended up going 3 and out. Now, the Sooners did their thing. They walked our defense all the way up the field and scored, so now we were down by 7. We were able to work our way up the field to right outside the 30, and that's when my boy Kenny stood up tall in the pocket and found my boy Kyle Thomas for a huge touchdown. That actually brought us to within 1 point, man. The crowd was going crazy, and honestly, it kind of felt like the momentum was on our side. Well, coming out in the second half, man, it was a totally different story. I mean, the Sooners really pulled away. They jumped out to a 10-point lead, and I mean, honestly, they were having their way with our defense. Now, on the offensive side of things, we were able to move the ball pretty well, but it wasn't anything consistent. I mean, we'll get a couple big plays through the air, but then we'll go like 3 and out every single time we try to run the ball. I'm telling you, man, those big dudes up front make more of a difference than you probably realize. I did my thing offensively, and I showed that all the success I had at USC the year before wasn't a fluke. I was able to find an end zone right after the 2-minute warning in the 4th quarter, but unfortunately, that wasn't enough as we went on to lose our season opener at home to the Sooners. Our second game of the season, we'd be on the road in Maryland taking on the Maryland Terrapins. I ain't gonna lie, bro, they got a pretty cool little stadium. I was feeling the atmosphere, but forget all that, man. They was a Big Ten team, so I knew they was gonna be dangerous. So I made sure I was locked in, and I made for damn sure the rest of the team was locked in. We had already lost 1 game of the season, and I swore, bro, if we went 0-2, I was jumping in the portal. Now, the one thing I wanted to make sure we established was the run game. Even if that meant I had to block like crazy on the outside, then so be it. But hey, man, we jumped out to a 7-point lead as my boy Kyle Thomas was able to come down with a 25-yard reception in the end zone. Hey man, it was starting to look like Batman and Robin. We had officially become a 1-2 punch. All that week of practice leading up to the game, we had been working on a jet sweep. Now I knew for a fact if everybody was able to hold their blocks just long enough for me to turn the corner, I was gonna go untouched, and well, that's exactly what happened. I found the end zone, and of course I hit my signature dance. Yeah, expect to be seeing that on Sundays. But anyways, midway through the second quarter, we tried that same play, but the defense wasn't having it. With just over 2 minutes left in the first half, we had went into our 2-minute offense. We knew if we were able to score on this drive and go up by 2 scores, the whole dynamic of the game would change. Well, I had a slant route across the middle of the field, and I foolishly called for the ball, knowing damn well my quarterback was gonna throw it to me, and unfortunately Maryland was able to take advantage of that turnover and go put 3 points on the board. So of course we got the ball right back after the Maryland field goal. We had about 1 minute and 54 seconds left, so of course we were still in our hurry up offense trying to move the ball upfield as quick as possible, but unfortunately another interception was thrown. I mean, it was almost identical to the first interception, except this time it wasn't my fault because I didn't call for the ball, bruh. Jumping ahead to the fourth quarter, the whole dynamic of the game had changed because now we were trailing by 3, but there was no need to panic. We had possession of the ball and we had 3 timeouts, so we were actually trying to burn some time. Yeah, we were letting the play clock hit almost 0 before snapping the ball. We were killing the Maryland defense with those crossing routes. It was nothing they could do. I mean, they tried man, they tried zone, but every time it resulted in a 10 and 12 yard completion. We had moved the ball to right inside the red zone. It was 2nd and goal with like 35 seconds left. The quarterback sent the running back in motion, bro. I had the slant route and everybody knew the ball was coming to me, but unfortunately, it was another interception and we went on to lose our 2nd straight game. We started 0-2 on the season, man. We were 0-2 coming into week 3 on the road versus Mississippi State. I wasn't happy, bro. I ain't even gonna lie. I ain't gonna try to hide it. I was upset. I mean, I hadn't been on a losing team since. But look, before the game, the coach had all the team captains stand up in front of the team and give some type of rah-rah, hoorah speech, but I wasn't with none of that. I looked everybody in the eye and I just said, do your job. And they know I meant business. I told them, like, listen, if you do your job, we'll win the game. That simple. So that's the mindset we approach week 3 with. Just do your job. We came out fast, focused, and disciplined in the first quarter. In our second drive up the field, we were able to find the end zone, taking a 7-point lead to start the game. But I can't say the same thing for Nasir and our defense. Like, bro, I don't know what was going on, but they was getting pushed around. I mean, the Mississippi State offense scored on them back-to-back, like on back-to-back drives. They scored. And then when we got the ball, of course, I had one-on-one coverage on the outside, the safety helping over the top. So I called for the ball thinking my quarterback was going to put it out in the front. But of course, he underthrew it and it was another interception. We went into halftime down by 2 scores and it was beginning to look like we was really going to start the season 0-3. The locker room was completely quiet. Wasn't nobody saying nothing, but then coach just flipped. I mean, he turned that dog on. He let us know like, hey, we gonna do this. We gonna get this victory. We gonna get the ball to start the second half. We gonna go down the field and we gonna score. And well, that's exactly what happened. Not only did we score, but our defense was able to get the stop, giving us excellent field position and the perfect opportunity to tie the game. When my boy Kyle Thompson stepped up, he caught the 13-yard reception and took it in for 6, bruh. Hey man, credit to Mississippi State. They refused to tuck their tails. They went down the field and scored with ease. So now the ball was back in our possession, and if we wanted to win, we needed to score. Those crossing routes have been our go-to all season. So of course, in clutch time, why would anything change? My boy Kyle Thompson caught a quick reception, moving us right inside the red zone. And then of course, it was my time to shine. I told y'all we was a 1-2 punch. I had the go route, and I noticed the DB opened up to the inside, so I ran right past them for 6, bringing us to within 1. Of course, we knocked down the field goal, and hey, we went on to get our first win of the season. It was a long time coming, and we had to fight hard for our first victory, but hey, we were now in the win column. Week 4 of the season, we were finally back at home, taking on San Diego State. Now, they had a 1-2 record just like us, so we knew they could potentially be a little bit dangerous. Now, on our second play, I went crazy and caught an 80-yard reception, bruh. An 80-yard bomb down the field, putting us right inside the red zone. And then, of course, we were able to score, putting up the first points of the game. At this point of the season, I feel like this is where we started to find our identity as an offense. Really as a team. I mean, our defense was coming together as well, but our offense was really clicking. In most offensive schemes, first and second down are for run plays, but for us, it was for whatever. I mean, we take 60-yard shots down the field on first down or run it up the middle on third down. It didn't even matter, bro, but we had tons of playmakers on our offense, and I think everybody was really satisfied with the way the ball was being spread around. We had the 7-point lead in the ball to start the third quarter. Now, I noticed that the defense was sitting back in the zone, and I had the crossing route, so of course, I called for the ball, but I feel like my quarterback kind of underthrew me. I had told him several times throughout the season, anytime you throw me the ball, either throw it high or put it out in front, but for some reason, we just couldn't get on the same page. Well, that interception actually led to San Diego State getting 3 points off the field goal. Now, we basically had the full length of the field to go before we got a touchdown. So before we actually came out onto the field, the coach gathered us in a huddle, and he let us know how important this drive was going to be. He basically told us that if we're able to find the end zone right here on this drive, we could probably win the game. So we came out there fast, disciplined, and focused. I keep using those 3 words because honestly, those 3 words kind of defined our season. But anyways, we were able to move the ball up the field with ease and eventually walked into the end zone. We had a 7-point lead with just over 2.5 minutes left. I hadn't scored all game and I was hungry for the end zone, so I was looking to make a play. Well, on 3rd and 9, I don't know what the defender was thinking. He tried to jam me on the line, but of course I blew past him and I had the crossing route, so I caught the ball over the top of the defense and took it to the house, officially sealing the deal and giving us our 2nd win on the season. We went on to beat San Diego State at home pretty easily with the final score of 31-17. The next week, we be back on the road taking on 0-4 Kent State. Now, they were 0-4, so obviously they weren't having a good season, but they were still dangerous because I know they would be looking to give somebody a loss. Anyways, this was our first rain game, so I went ahead and pulled out the long sleeves. Now, I gotta acknowledge their stadium. It kind of reminded me of those old high school games. You know, when your team make it to state so you get to play at the college? Yeah, man, it kind of reminded me of that. But anyways, back to the task at hand. I was able to score the first touchdown of the game, and I put a little bit of sauce on it with the spin move. But Kent State, they went right back out and scored a touchdown of their own. Now, the one thing I really wanted to focus on again was getting that run game going, and we were able to do exactly that, as my boy was able to pull off a huge run up the middle of the defense. Well, as you can see, that drive came to a screeching halt due to an interception. Of course, I was running across the middle, I called for the ball, my quarterback threw it, and it ended up in the defense's hands. That sounds pretty familiar, right? Yeah, that's because it is. As much as I want to blame my quarterback for all of these interceptions, unfortunately I can't because it's partially my fault. I'm the one calling for the ball, and like I said before, I know he's going to throw it to me, so I got to take responsibility as well. With literally 1 second left on the clock in the third quarter, we had the 11-point lead. Now, I had the crossing route, so if we gonna talk about things being familiar, y'all should already know what happened next. I launched off the line and blew past the defense, and I caught a 75-yard bomb over the middle, bruh, and I took it to the house, man. And that gave us our 3rd win on the season. Or so I thought. Look, I don't know what Nasir was doing, and yes, I'm blaming him because he's the face of the defense. Man, they gave up back-to-back scores, and the game went into overtime. It was 3rd and 4 in overtime, and we came up just short of the first down, so we had to settle for a field goal. Well, Kent State actually got a touchdown, and they ended up winning in overtime, handing us our 3rd loss on the season. Week 5, man, on the road in Buffalo. We were 2-3 on the season. They were 1-3. But like we just saw, man, you can't take none of these teams for granted. Up until this point of the season, I had been preaching that whole, do your job and this whole, team thing and team orient, team this, team whatever. All that went out the window, man. When we had a 2-3 record, I started focusing on myself, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. I would consider this game versus Buffalo my breakout game. Honestly, I started to play selfish. I was calling for the ball on every play. I didn't care if it resulted in an interception, a turnover, or a touchdown, bruh. As long as you was looking my way, I was okay. Just give me a chance to make a play. And don't get it twisted. I let the team know what I was on as well. Yeah, I wasn't walking around with no attitude or no secret agenda. Now, I let everybody know when it comes to the offensive side of things, I get a team the best chance to win. So that means the ball needs to be coming my way at least 2 out of every 3 plays. We jumped out to a 10-0 lead, and honestly, we were having our way. I mean, I was doing my thing and the team was operating pretty smooth. This is exactly what we needed because we took a huge hit to our confidence when we suffered that last loss. So I think us beating up on Buffalo was like a confidence booster, if you will. Our defense was doing their thing as well. I mean, they fought extremely hard and pitched a shutout in the first half. Now, I thought we was done on offense into the second half, but hey, with 58 seconds left, we came back on the field for one more drive. With 8 seconds on the clock, I had the go route, and that's exactly what I did, man. I went straight to the end zone, my boy. I went almost completely untouched for a 50-yard house call. Now, that would actually be my last touchdown of the game, as I didn't play in the second half. I mean, literally like halfway through the third quarter, I had my phone out ordering food for after the game. But anyways, we beat up on Buffalo 41-26. It was on to the next one. Week 7, we were still on the road, but this time we were at Eastern Michigan University. Now, I can't lie, they got a beautiful stadium, but their team definitely isn't paying back the fans for it, as they were 0-5 on the season. But their record didn't matter to me or anybody else on the team because, as you've seen early on, the team with the worst records oftentimes put up the hardest fights. Now, at this point of our season, our team was going through a lot of changes. I mean, you could tell that a lot of the players had already mentally checked out, but me and Nasir and a few others, we was still locked in because I mean, it was a lot bigger than our record. It was a lot bigger than trying to make a bowl game or win a national championship. Nah, I was trying to make it to the next level, so I was still locked in. Our rushing attack was on point this game. Honestly, this is one of the few times that I could say this season that our offensive line was a lot better than the opposing team's defensive line, and it definitely showed. My energy and attitude hadn't changed from the week before. Yeah, I was still being selfish, and honestly, I didn't care. So you'll notice on a few of these plays, I wasn't even open, but I was still calling for the ball. Well, I would actually get my first touchdown of the game towards the beginning of the second quarter, and we jumped out to a 10-point lead. EMU refused to back down, and they actually came back and took the lead. Look, I don't know what it is about these teams with these horrible records, man, but they be bringing the smoke, bro. I gotta hand it to them. They don't got nothing to play for, but they still be playing hard. On 2nd and 4, we ran a fake end around. I came off the line in a motion, and I just went straight up field. Now, we had ran this play a few times in practice, but this was the first time we ever ran it in a game. And bro, it worked to perfection. I was wide open and made a house call. It was like 66, 70, maybe even 80 yards, bro. I don't even know, but I was completely untouched, and we went ahead and snatched the lead back from EMU. Then on 2nd and 9 on our next drive, I had the corner route, but I found myself wide open in the end zone, completely untouched again for 6 points. We went on to beat EMU at their house 41-34 and improved our record to 4-3 on the season. Week 8 of the season, we be at home taking on Ohio University. Not Ohio State, they little brothers, Ohio University. Now, this was our first night game of the season, and I don't know what it is, man, but it's just something about those night games that really make me fall in love with the game of football all over again. I honestly think it's playing under those bright lights. Man, I just feel like a superstar every time I step on the field for a night game. We came out in this game running the ball early. Yeah, we were definitely trying to send a message that we were the stronger, more aggressive team. And I was blocking like crazy on that left side. Yeah, I don't want NFL scouts to say, run blocking is my weakness or nothing like that. So I was doing what I could. But anyways, my boy Jalen Poe, or JP as I like to call him, was doing his thing. I think he had like 15 rushes for almost 100 yards in just the first half. But of course, it was only a matter of time before I left my mark on the game. I had a go route, and like I said before, I went straight to the end zone and scored 6 completely untouched. And like I always say, man, the one thing I want y'all to pay attention to, I'm doing all this with inside the offense. Yeah, I'm not out here running my own routes or just running slants. No, I'm literally running the route given. I'm just making plays, bro. But I wasn't done. On our very next drive, I had a corner route and I almost took that thing to the house. But not only that, I had officially passed 3,000 receiving yards from my career. Hey man, listen, men lie, women lie, but them numbers don't. I'm really one of them ones. We went on to cruise to a victory, beating Ohio at home 38-10. I actually had a hell of a day, finishing with 12 catches for 239 yards and 4 touchdowns. We were 5-3 on the season, and I don't know about everybody else, but at that point, my main focus was cracking into that top 25 and then eventually making it to the college football playoffs. Now, I know, bruh. I could have just been being delusional, but in my head, we still had a chance. Anyways, we were at the crib taking on Western Michigan. Now, if you look in the stands, bro, them fans were starting to show back up. Yeah, they kind of bounced on us for a little bit, but like always, man, everybody gonna bust that 180 when you winning. We jumped out with the lead after 2 huge plays on the ground. And then like clockwork, it was time for me to get mine. I had a go route and I went. Like I always say, man, I went straight to the house. I think it was like a 50 or 60 yard pass that I caught and took it to the house completely untouched. But I don't know though. I think I may need y'all help a little bit. I was sitting back really trying to decide like what type of wide receiver am I? Like, am I a playmaker? Because of course y'all know I can make plays. Am I a deep threat wide receiver? Because I mean, I could do that too. Am I a physical wide receiver? I mean, I be throwing people around. Of course, I be run blocking. Or am I a route runner? I mean, I'll be honest though, my routes could use a little bit of work, but I don't really have time to be making all those cuts and stuff like that because by the time I come out of my break, my quarterback is running for his life. But y'all do me a favor, man. Comment down below. What type of play style am I? Deep threat, physical wide receiver, playmaker, route runner, or all of the above, man? Let your boy know. But anyways, I didn't play at all in the second half as we were able to beat Western Michigan at home with the final score of 35-21. Your boy had a hell of a day. I finished with only 5 catches. 5 catches, bro, for 123 yards and 3 touchdowns. We had an evening game at home versus Bowling Green. Now, they were 2-6 on the season, but they did have a few key weapons on their team, so I was actually expecting a pretty good game. But look, we were 6-3 on the season, and when I looked at the top 25 teams in the nation, I seen a few teams on there with 3 losses. So for the life of me, I couldn't understand why we weren't in the top 25, but then somebody broke it down to me that it's based on the quality and the toughness of your schedule. I mean, we had pretty much lost to all of our big time opponents, and the games that we have won weren't necessarily blowouts. Yeah, they was all close games versus lower quality opponents in the MAC conference. So it was going to be harder for us to crack that top 25. I wasn't tripping though, I just kept grinding. I was able to find the end zone late in the first quarter, striking first and giving us a 7-point lead. Now, of course, I had to hit my signature dance. Before, I know I said I wasn't much of a route runner, but I don't know, bro. That route right there was pretty clean, my boy. 14-all to kick off the second half, man. Bowling Green came storming back. I tried to tell y'all them boys had a few key players that could potentially give us a little bit of trouble. And speaking of key players, you'll notice one of their stars is matched up against me on defense. Now, I had just did them dirty on a drive before when I scored. Hey, why not do it again? I had the post route, but I ran it kind of skinny because I saw the safety helping over the top. I caught the ball, and once again, I went completely untouched for a 59-yard touchdown. Bowling Green came back and snatched the lead, going up by 3 points. We had exactly 2 minutes left on the clock and had to go 69 yards, almost the full length of the field. But hey, this is where players make plays, so it was time for me and the rest of the team to step up. We were able to drive the ball up the field to the 20-yard line with only 30 seconds left on the clock. 3rd and goal with 16 seconds left on the clock. We needed a touchdown to win or a field goal to tie. Well, the quarterback stood tall in the pocket and found my boy Chris Gore in the back of the end zone for 6, bruh. That toe tapping touchdown gave us the win at home as we were able to sneak past Bowling Green by only 4 points. Week 11, and we were back at home taking on Miami University. No, not the Hurricanes, not the Miami Hurricanes, just Miami University. Now, we had a 7-3 record, and you'll notice we still weren't ranked. At this point, I had kind of finally given up on the whole potential of playing in the college football playoffs and, finishing the season ranked. So I was actually just looking to end off my junior career with a bang. For all I knew, I was only guaranteed 2 games left for the season, so I was going to make the most of it. Now, it was kind of funny because I started to notice a shift in the locker room. Remember a few games back, I told you that a lot of the players started to tap out on the season. They figured we wasn't going to make no bowl game. We wasn't going to no championship. So why even give it our all? But I started to notice those same players come back around. The win streak that we were on really revitalized our team, and it started to look like that if we kept winning, we would probably make it to the conference championship game. But first, we had to beat the very tough opponent we had in front of us. They wasn't backing down. It seemed like every time we scored, they went down and scored points of their own. The game was all even and we had just about 2 minutes left in the first half. The coach called a screenplay, but I knew if my quarterback was willing to stand in there tall and take the hit, I could sneak past the defense for a huge gain. Well, that's exactly what he did. He threw up a Hail Mary and I went up and grabbed it over the top of the defense. Then on the very next play, I had a crossing route over the middle and I almost scored. Like, bro, I was just short of the end zone, but no worries though, my coach looked out. I was able to finally get my touchdown off of a bubble screen, giving us a 7-point lead. But they wouldn't go away. On their next possession, they were able to score, and then we were able to get a field goal. Now, there was still a lot of time left in the game, so it was way too early to try to hold the ball and run down the clock. But y'all remember that jet sweep that I had told you about earlier? Remember me saying if everybody hold their blocks enough for me to turn the corner, I was gonna score? Well, hey, that's exactly what happened. I'm a man of my word. Listen, bro, we were able to beat a very tough Miami University at home 45-21. But as you just seen, the final score definitely isn't indicative of how close the game was. They were a very solid team, man. And what would be the final regular season game of my junior season? We'd be on the road taking on the Toledo Torpedoes. Well, it's actually the Toledo Rockets, but I feel like Torpedoes sounds a little bit better. Anyways, I know y'all see it, bruh. Don't try to act like you don't see it. Yeah, don't be acting blind, bro. Y'all see that 25 next to our name. We have finally cracked the top 25 national ranking in college football, bruh. We have been grinding for that number next to our name all season, and we finally got it. But now that we were ranked, we had an even bigger target on our back. Yeah, everybody would love to knock off a ranked opponent, but we wasn't even worried about that. Yeah, everybody's attention has shifted from being ranked to actually winning a conference championship game, and who knows what could happen after that. I mean, we had already won 7 games on the season, so we were guaranteed to go to a bowl game, but nah, we was focused on that hardware. Yeah, we wanted that trophy. We had just under 30 seconds left in the first half and we were trailing by 3. Our goal was to either tie the game up with a field goal or take the lead with a touchdown before going into the halftime. Our clock management was on point as we were able to move the ball up the field with ease. On 2nd and goal with only 8 seconds left in the quarter, I had the fade route to the back of the end zone. Now the defender was playing me to the inside, so I went with it, but then as soon as he least expected it, I broke to the outside and caught the touchdown. Hey, listen, y'all can say what y'all want about my route running, but that was elite. Jumping ahead to the 4th quarter with only a minute left in the game, we were down by 3 and we needed to go basically the full length of the field if we were gonna score or, at least tie up the game. On what would be the final play of my junior season, regular season, whatever you want to call it, on what would be the final play of the game, bruh, I would catch the game-winning touchdown for like 77 yards. The game-winning touchdown, bruh. We went on to beat these boys on the road for the final regular season game. I put up crazy like numbers, finishing with 12 catches, 233 yards, and 3 touchdowns, man. My junior year in Northern Illinois was special, bro. I can't even lie. I mean, yeah, I know we didn't have the best season, but I made some lifelong friendships, and honestly, I feel like I got better as a player. After I got kicked off the team at USC, everybody wanted to know where I end up next, and honestly, the last place people expected was NIU. As a matter of fact, during our preseason press conference, that's all they wanted to know was, how did I end up there? But look, it really wasn't no partying while I was there. I mean, everybody was so locked in, and honestly, it wasn't no time for that. I mean, I spent all my free time in the weight room for real. And just the 1 year that I was there, I added on like 8 pounds of muscle and I completely transformed my body. We finished the season 10-3 and ended up facing Troy University at the Camilla Bowl. Of course, I did my thing and put on the show, but we ended up losing by just 3 points. After the bowl game, I returned back to campus to pack up my dorm room. I'll be honest, bro, I felt, being real, bro, I felt kind of sad because that was officially the end of that chapter of my life. It was time to move on and focus on my future. Instead of going back to Kentucky to get ready for the NFL draft, I caught a flight to LA. Yeah, I wanted to make sure I could spend some time with Nicole. She was near the end of her pregnancy, and now that the season was over, I'll finally be able to go to a few doctor's appointments with her. See, Nicole is different, bro. I mean, I don't really know how to explain it, but it's like she's actually rooting for me, or she's on my side, like she want to see me win. So look, for example, as soon as I landed at LAX, she was there to pick me up. She had already made reservations to my favorite food spot, so of course, we went to go grab something to eat. After that, she took me to a room which she booked for me, a nice spot in the middle of the city too, and she got me a rental so I'll be able to move around while I was in town. Not only that, but she found this dope ass gym for me to train at so I can get ready for the draft. Now, I know to most of y'all that sounds like the bare minimum, but to me, it meant everything. But look, during the times that I wasn't with Nicole and her peoples or, in the gym training, I was ducked off at the spot I found that overlooks the whole city. I swear I sat out there for like 2 and 3 hours, really just thinking about how close I was to achieving my goals. After a few months in Cali, it was finally time for the NFL Combine in Indianapolis. Now, I made it clear to everybody that I wasn't going through every drill. Nah, I agreed to run the 40, do the shuttle drill, and catch a few passes. That was it. But look, I knew my draft stock really depended on my 40 time, so quite honestly, that's all I was focused on. I took off quick as hell and got a perfect start. My form was smooth as butter, and I finished with the official time of 4.24, which gave me the second fastest 40 in the entire draft. Now, next up was the shuttle drill, but I'm gonna be honest with y'all, bro, I wasn't really locked in because after I got that 4.240, bro, I didn't give a damn about nothing else. I felt like my fate was sealed. So I think I ended up getting like a 4.22, which put me right inside the top 10. But anyways, man, it was what it was. The next drill up was the pass catching drill. So, I mean, of course, that's easy. They basically just had me run through a couple routes and catch the ball. If I'm being honest with y'all, it really seemed like a waste of time. I mean, considering they have 3 years of tape. So the whole time I was running my routes, I was thinking like, what do they expect to see by me catching a ball against no defense? But of course, I don't make the rules. Now, the final step in the draft combine was the interview process. Normally, most agents would have their client avoid this step, but for me, that wasn't the case. My agent felt like it would be a good idea for me to speak to the teams and show them my true colors, and not the B. Jones character I created while I was at SC. Well, that strategy proved to be successful because my draft stock shot up after the combine. Instead of flying out to New York for the draft, I decided to stay home and host my own draft party at my old high school. Hella people came out, like my old teachers, Friends, family, the local news, and ESPN was there. Surprisingly, I wasn't nervous at all though. I was just chilling the whole night, waiting for my phone to ring. The New York Jets ended up selecting me with the 11th overall pick. My dreams of making it to the league had finally come true. Before I knew it, I was on a private jet headed out to the team's facility to sign my contract. So now that you've seen what my life was like leading up to the NFL draft, I think it's time I give you a quick glimpse of how things have been going since I entered the league. Surprisingly, the majority of my time hasn't been spent playing football. Nah, it's actually been spent fulfilling these damn endorsement obligations. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm blessed to have the opportunity, but god damn, they take up a lot of time. I've done photo shoots and commercials and appearances for all the major brands, and you know what's crazy? All these opportunities I'm getting now really came from the brand I created at USC with my B. Jones character. But look, of course, I had to set aside some time to find a place to stay, and to my surprise, it was a lot easier than expected. I found this nice ass loft right in the middle of the city. It's a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, entryway directly off the elevator, full kitchen of course, heated floors, fireplace, and it's right in the middle of downtown, so of course I got amazing views of Times Square. Not only that, but it also has a private garage in the basement of the building. Trying to find a place to park in downtown can be hell, so that comes in clutch. Speaking of houses though, I had always planned on buying my mom and my aunt a new crib once I made it to the league, but to my surprise, that's not what they wanted. The house that they live in now has been passed down through several generations and is completely paid off, so instead of moving out and erasing all that history, they just decided to have it remodeled instead. So that'll be my project this offseason, working on getting my childhood home completely upgraded. Now, unfortunately, things between me and Brianna haven't gotten any better. I mean, it seemed like it was headed in the right direction at one point, but once she found out about Nicole, all communication stopped. My agent received a letter from her attorney letting me know that she'll be pursuing child support. So now I'm in the process of dealing with all that, and no, I still haven't seen or even talked to my son. I mean, the whole situation is just pretty messed up, man. It's been a hell of a journey making it to this point. I mean, I really went through all the highs and lows that come with chasing your dreams. I started off at a small community college in Kansas playing JUCO football. Now here I am in New York City playing for the Jets. It's crazy what you can accomplish with a little bit of talent and a lot of hard work. But look, I still haven't reached the finish line. Nah, there's still a long way to go and a lot of work that needs to be done. So enough talking, let's get to it. So here I am in the first game of my rookie season. As you can see, we're on the road taking on the San Francisco 49ers, and the stadium is absolutely crazy. Now, of course, your boy is already used to this considering I did play in the Big 12 conference at one point, but hey, it hit a little bit different now that we in the NFL. In the first quarter, I was able to get my first NFL catch, but with 39 seconds left in the second quarter, I was able to pick up a huge reception, moving us right outside field goal range. And then the man himself, Aaron Rodgers, was able to throw a dart over the top of the defense to my man Garrett Wilson for a touchdown before the halftime, giving us the lead going into the second half. Now, being that this is my first game, I had to send a message early that I'm not to be played with. Man, listen, I'ma just say, I don't think the DB read his scouting report because he tried to jam me at the line, which is damn near impossible. I took the top off the defense for a 77-yard touchdown, bruh. We were able to pull off the huge 3-point upset on the road in hostile environment. Now, I had a pretty cool game. I finished with 4 receptions for 119 yards. Say, that's not too bad for a rookie's first game. Want to know, of course, going into week 2, we still be on the road, but this time we be in Tennessee taking on the 0-1 Tennessee Titans. Now, it was still early in the season, but hey, you only get one first impression, so to me, it was important that I let my boy A. Rodgers know that he could rely on me, you know, sort of like a safety valve. Our first possession of the game, we were able to move the ball with ease. I mean, we pushed the defense all the way back to right outside the red zone, and then my boy Breece Hall ran it in for a 1-yard touchdown. Now, at this point, y'all should all know I'm a big play receiver. Yeah, I'm capable of taking the top off the defense at any time. But like I said, bro, early on in this season, I really want to prove that my hands are sure. Like, it's 100% certain that if you throw the ball my way, I'ma catch it. But listen, man, speaking of big play, I honestly think I need to change my nickname to Big Play Jones. Midway through the second quarter, I had the deep over route and I found myself wide open behind the defense. I went completely untouched for 6, giving us the 2-score lead before halftime. But hold up real quick, man. I figured we'd be going into halftime with a comfortable 2-score lead, but apparently the Titans had other things in mind. They were able to score immediately and give us the ball back with about a minute left before the second half. But listen, if you know anything about Aaron Rodgers, a minute is too long. With about 25 seconds left in the first half, I had the corner route. I wouldn't say I ran it to perfection, but god damn it, it worked. I went completely untouched for 6, giving me my second touchdown of the game. We went on to take a 10-point victory on the road, improving our record to 2-0 on the season. Finally, we be back at the crib, man, with our first home game of the season. We be taking on the 1-1 Patriots. Now, their record wasn't all that, but hey, this is the NFL, bro. This ain't college no more, so of course you can't overlook no opponents. Now, I was able to find the end zone early on in the first quarter off the shallow over route. I found a wide open hole in the middle of the defense, and hey, I took advantage of it. But bro, seeing the way the crowd reacted to that touchdown and the fireworks in the sky, I ain't gonna lie, bro, that feeling was addictive. But I wasn't able to celebrate for too long because jumping ahead to the third quarter, it was 14-14 even. Bruh, I needed to make an impact, and I needed to make an impact now because up until that point, I only had 2 catches for 19 yards and 1 touchdown. I was pretty much getting locked down the whole night. We were able to move the ball up the field and we got right inside the red zone, and that's when my boy Aaron Rodgers tapped into his dog mentality, or maybe it was the ashwagandha, I don't know, bro, but he was able to score, breaking several tackles and putting 6 points on the board. But listen, I've never taken them type of supplements that Aaron Rodgers be on, but one of them definitely has to have some crazy side effects, because for him to throw in a triple coverage is crazy. Not double coverage, but triple coverage. He literally threw it directly to the defender, and they took it home for a pick 6. That touchdown actually resulted in us falling behind on the scoreboard 35-24 in the fourth quarter with only a minute and a half left. With only 35 seconds left in the game, down by 9 points, I mean, the writing was on the wall, bro. It wasn't much that we can do. We actually were able to work the ball down to the end zone and end up scoring, but of course it was a little bit too late. 35-32 was the final score as we suffered our first defeat of the season at home at the hands of the Patriots. Coming into week 4 of the season, we'd be back at home taking on the 2-1 Denver Broncos. Now, this game was actually very important to me. Like, it was almost personal because the last game that we lost, I didn't show up. Like, it's almost like I got exposed or shut down. I finished that game with 5 receptions for 39 yards and 1 touchdown. Those are horrible stats, like at any level, even in high school. That's horrible. So I needed a big game this week. Now, I jumped out to a quick start in this game, getting an early touchdown. I was almost at 100 yards going into the third quarter, but I realized early on this team that I was going to have to do everything or nothing. Like, I couldn't just contribute. Like, I couldn't just be a key factor. No, I had to be the factor. You know what I'm saying? And honestly, that was perfectly fine for me. I mean, honestly, I was born to be a star, so hey, let's get straight to it. We had the 7-point lead and the possession of the ball at the start of the fourth quarter. So honestly, all we had to do was just really maintain the clock. I had a comeback route that I was able to catch pretty easily. Honestly, bro, I think my route running has gotten a little bit better, man. Y'all do me a favor and comment down below. Has my route running improved since college, or am I still the same? But anyways, right before the 2-minute warning, we were able to find the end zone as my boy Mike Williams came up clutch with a 5-yard touchdown. Of course, we were able to secure the victory at home, and honestly, I had a pretty good day. I had 8 receptions for 144 yards and 2 touchdowns. That wasn't the best, but it was definitely better than my last performance. Week 5 of the season was different because it was a road game, but not just any road game. Like, this was a little bit weird because we were in London. Yeah, we would be taking on the Minnesota Vikings in London, and it was kind of weird to say the least. I mean, nothing's wrong with London at all, but I don't know, bro, just staying in a hotel all week and not being able to really move around how I'm used to was a little bit odd. But hey, of course I'm a professional, so I still had to show up and play. It had become clear to everybody that I was now the #1 wide receiver on the team, and of course I was Aaron Rodgers' favorite option. Now, that's a huge honor within itself because dude is literally one of the GOATs of the game. I mean, whenever he decides to retire, he's going down as a legend. So for him to have all that confidence in me and I'm just a rookie, yeah, that's crazy. I was actually able to find the end zone with about 35 seconds left in the first half. I had a post route over the top, and of course my boy Aaron Rodgers threw it right on the target. That touchdown couldn't have came at a better time because we were able to bring the score to within 1 point going into the second half. Now, there was a little bit of controversy during this game. Well, it was more so after this game online. You'll notice a few times throughout this gameplay that instead of, fighting for extra yards and taking unnecessary hits, I would just go down to avoid the contact. Honestly, I feel like that's a good business decision, but a lot of the fans definitely didn't like that. I'd like to know what y'all think though. Like, Honestly, I'm a young receiver and my body is my biggest asset, so I feel like it's smart for me to avoid contact at all costs. I mean, I'm not Ray Lewis or Ed Reed. It's not my job to hit people, and it's not my job to get hit. And not only that, I'm an undersized receiver, so what are we really talking about? We finally be back at the crib. Yeah, man, we finally made it back to the United States. We be at home taking on the 5-0 Buffalo Bills. Now, of course, Josh Allen was doing his thing because, you know, they got a 5-0 record, but also Keon Coleman. Yeah, you know, the young speedy receiver, fresh out of college or whatever, he was doing his thing as well. So if you think about it, you got Josh Allen, Keon Coleman, B. Jones, Aaron Rodgers. Man, it was a match made in heaven, and honestly, I wasn't trying to take no L's. Now, as you just seen, I had a touchdown in my hands right in the end zone, and I dropped it. Yeah, I ain't gonna make no excuses, that's all on me, but I promise you I'm gonna get me one before the end of the game. But here's another example of what I was talking about before. Yeah, I caught the ball, but I didn't fight for no extra yards. I mean, it really didn't seem necessary. But anyways, my boy Aaron Rodgers is an absolute beast. He was able to find my boy over the top of the defense wide open for 6, man. Count us in. We get possession to start the second half, and we were down by 14 points. Like, bruh, we were down by 2 scores. We needed to make something happen, and we needed to make something happen ASAP. Now, I actually had the corner route, bruh, and I honestly think the ball could have been thrown a little bit better, but again, I'll accept full responsibility, and we ended up going 3 and out because I wasn't able to make the completion. The fourth quarter came and we still had a lot of time on the clock, but now we were down by 18 points. I mean, we had possession, but unfortunately our defense wasn't able to prevent the Buffalo Bills from scoring. So we needed to put some points on the board, and of course, like I said before, man, we needed to do it ASAP. I was able to get the crossing route right outside the end zone, and then Breece Hall was able to do the rest, running the ball in for a touchdown. But unfortunately, it was too little too late, man. We actually lost our second game of the season at home versus the Buffalo Bills 31-23. I had a horrible game. I mean, it was so bad that I literally finished with the D rating, bro. A D plus at that. That's even worse, bro. A D plus, my nigga, give me an F. We were 4-2 on the season, coming off our second loss at home, bro. Our second loss at home, man, that hurt. But anyways, the next week, bro, we be on the road taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And as you can see, bro, I came out early looking to send a message. I caught a huge 67-yard bomb, putting us right inside the red zone. And then again, my boy Aaron Rodgers looking my way, full confidence throwing into coverage. But hey, like I said, man, I'm coming out to send a message. I was able to pull down my first touchdown of the game, giving us an early 7-0 lead. You learn a lot about what type of team you have after a loss, because that's when it get real. You know, some guys, they just pretty much quit. Like, they have a loser's mentality. But us, nah, man, we gonna bounce back every single time. I was playing with a chip on my shoulder, and as you can see, so was my boy Breece Hall. He pulled off a huge, 65-yard run through the middle of the defense, bruh. The Steelers were able to score their little 7 points, which is cool, but what they also did was give us the ball right back before halftime. Like I said before, man, 1 minute is way too long for Aaron Rodgers, especially when you have 2 big play receivers on the outside like me and my boy Mike Williams. Speaking of Mike Williams, he would find himself wide open at the edge of the end zone, giving us another touchdown right before halftime. In the locker room before halftime, coach told us not to let our foot off the gas, and we definitely didn't. Like, we picked up right where we left off in the first half. I came out and secured 2 big catches. One of them was actually for a touchdown. Like, literally in the third quarter, bro, I was approaching 200 yards and we still had a whole nother quarter to play. I found the end zone, and of course I had to hit my new signature dance, man. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section down below. I know your boy look clean, but forget all that, man. Justin Fields and the Steelers, man, they refused to go away. They fought back with several scores and ended up tying the game 28-28. Forcing us to go into overtime. Now, at the start of overtime, bro, we took possession and we were doing our thing, moving the ball up the field pretty easily. My boy actually got us to right inside the red zone, and of course, that's when my number was called. I had the shallow crossing route and found myself wide open in the corner of the end zone, bruh. That was my first official game-winning touchdown of my young NFL career. And not only that, but I cracked 200 yards, 3 touchdowns, 13 receptions, man. Honestly, I think this was my best game of the season. We were able to pick up the win on the road, improving our record to 5-2 on the season. The next week, we still be on the road, and as y'all can see, I have been doing my thing all season. I was actually the leading receiver when it came to touchdowns and yards, if I'm not mistaken. But forget all that, man. We got something to address. Yeah, we was on the road, but this game was a little bit different than any other road game, because if y'all remember correctly, these is the ops. Like, these dudes is the ones that handed us our first loss of the season. So y'all know coming into this game, it was smoke. Now, we got off to a slow start as we weren't able to find the end zone until like midway through the second quarter. So like the whole first quarter, bro, we was on defense. We didn't score at all. But hey, I don't know what it is about the last minute of the first half, but it seems like that's when we play our best. As you can see, man, the cornerback tried to press, And that's never a good that's never a good idea, bro. I had to teach him a lesson and go ahead and hit my Diddy Bop. Well, not my Diddy Bop. I had to hit. Listen, man, I need a new name. I need a new name for my signature dance because the Diddy Bop in 2024 is out, man. But anyways, bro, like I said, we came with that smoke. We came with that energy. My boy Brees Hall, man, he was matching my energy as he pulled off like a 50-yard. Oh, bro, come on, man. These dances is crazy, my boy. I can't even focus on what I'm trying to say, but hey, man. And that's crazy as hell, man. Anyways, we had the 1-point lead and we were right outside the red zone. That's when I got the ball on the shadow cross that actually moved us to like the 2-yard line. We were right there ready to score, but unfortunately we weren't able to make it. But during the sim, I guess we went for 2 because, hey, we were able to score and avenge our first loss of the season, 28-20 on the road. We back at the crib for week 9 and we taking on the Houston Texans. Now they got a pretty decent record, you know, nothing really to write home about, but y'all see Buddy lined up across from me? Well, that's Stephon Gilmore and he's, I guess, a star cornerback in the league or whatever you want to call him. But before the game, Buddy was talking crazy. Like, I'm talking about like saying some real outrageous things. So that's why coming into this game, I had a bit of a chip on my shoulder. And as you about to see, I flat out embarrassed dude. Now, when Buddy popped up in my mentions, I was kind of perplexed. I was, you know, taken back, if you will. But anyways, his social media handle is Bump and Run Gilmore. Y'all know the bump and run coverage with the DBs. Well, all that don't even matter to me because it's not too many people in the league that can bump and run with me because my speed is crazy. Now, I'll give credit where it's due. As y'all can see, you know, he jumped my curl route and picked it off or whatever, but just keep watching. I'm telling you, bro, I'm finna do boy dirty. Look at this, man. Look at this, bro. I ain't even got to say nothing. That's like 90,000 yard reception right there. And y'all probably think, oh, he didn't get his foot in. Even the refs didn't think I got my foot in, but look, 1, 2. Yeah, man, count me in, bruh. Anyways, I was able to make the huge reception that got us right inside the red zone. Then, of course, my boy Aaron Rodgers throwing them darts. Touchdown, man. Now, although I was having a good game, I mean, going into the third quarter, I was like two catches, 86 yards, something like that, man. 1 touchdown. I was having a pretty good game, but that's because I was taking the game personal because Buddy called me out personally. You know what I'm saying? But I can't say the same for our team because our defense was getting ran all up and down the field and our offense had trouble moving the ball. I was able to get a touchdown early in the fourth quarter, but that was really the only bright spot of that game. I mean, we went on to lose again, bro. Again at home, which is crazy. We lost by 10 points. I finished with 120, 7 receptions, 2 touchdowns. On to the next. Week 10, we be back on the road taking on the Arizona Cardinals. They were actually 5-4 on the season, so they were basically just a game behind. But see, these games are very important to me because of who's on the other side of the field. That boy Marvin Harrison Jr. And I already know after the game, once I hopped on Twitter, all I was going to see was comparisons. So I knew I had to show up and do my thing. Now, at this point of the season, we had the #1 ranked offense in the entire NFL. And the crazy thing about it is it's a balanced offense. I know sometimes we can be run heavy or pass heavy, but for the most part, we spread the ball around pretty evenly. Plus, I mean, my boy Brees Hall coming out the backfield, he's dangerous. He can score at any moment. And then, of course, me, you know I'm a highlight waiting to happen. And then, as you just seen, my boy Mike Williams, he can also score at any time as well. So I can see why we was ranked so high in the offensive rankings. We jumped out to a 7-point lead with about 2.5 minutes left in the first half. Now, I was actually having a pretty decent game. I mean, my numbers weren't crazy, but I mean, it seemed like if there was a hole to be found in the defense, bro, I was there every single time. I think up until that point when I made this catch, I was like, but as a matter of fact, I think it's going to show us, y'all was 7 for 6, 7 targets, 6 receptions, bro. That's not too bad for 86 yards. And it was just the first half, but we were able to go ahead and punch in the go-ahead touchdown to increase our lead going into the second half. The second half was more of the same. I mean, we had a 21-point lead and things were starting to get out of hand. I hadn't found the end zone all game, but of course that would change. But it was kind of odd because this was the easiest touchdown that I scored all year. I mean, I was completely uncovered. I don't know what the Cardinals was thinking, but hey, man, I'll take it. Anyways, we went on to pull off the win on the road and we was on to the next one. Back at the crib. We was back at the crib. Week 11, man, we was back at the crib, man, taking on the Indianapolis Colts. We have a pretty decent record, man, sitting at 7-3. I honestly can't complain. But listen, man, now that I'm watching this film, you know, really going over this film with y'all, I think I play my best games at home, bruh. I don't know what it is. It's just something about that audience, the fans, the screaming fans, the cameras, the fireworks, bruh. It just had me on 10. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into it. This was actually my favorite game of the season, and you'll see why here shortly. Yeah, man, just keep your eyes peeled because your boy is finna make some major plays for the team. Like right here, for example, I had the deep post route, and I knew we needed to get in position to score. So, hey, man, who better to call on your boy? I put us in position to score, and then my boy Breece Hall handled the rest. It was 14 even with about a minute and a half left before going into halftime. Now, y'all should know by now, anytime we get the ball with a minute to 2 minutes before halftime, we gonna score. And as you can see, that's exactly what happened. My boy Garrett Wilson, he was having a quiet season, but hey, he made a lot of noise on this play as we took the 7-point lead going into the second half. Bro, this play that you're about to see is literally the biggest and the best play that I made all year. 30 seconds left, down by 1, gotta go damn near the entire length of the field. Aaron Rodgers threw it up, and of course, your boy came down with it. Y'all remember me saying at the beginning of the season, I wanted to be that security blanket? Well, hey man, it don't get much more secure than that. Then on the very next play, my boy Breece Hall ran it into the end zone completely untouched to give us our 8th win of the season, bruh. The catch y'all just saw at the end of last game, well, hey, that was on SportsCenter Top 10, and y'all already know your boy was #1. So we came into this game pumped up. Now, we were 8-3 on the season. We had an amazing record. We be taking on the Seattle Seahawks, bruh. Yeah, we be back at home taking on the Seattle Seahawks. They were 7-4, so hey, they were having a pretty good season too. We were able to work the ball downfield right inside the red zone, and of course, that's when my number always gets called, man, because your boy is efficient, I'm reliable, I'm, that dude. But anyways, my main focus during this game really was to find the end zone, because if y'all remember correctly, last game, I made some big plays, but I didn't score, and my goal at the start of the season was to score every single game, bro. So that's what I was focused on. And like I said at the beginning of the last episode, you get what you focused on. I was focused on the end zone, and what do you know? I found myself in there again for another touchdown. That was my second touchdown of the day, and I think I was right at like 150 yards, and it was only the second quarter. But of course, we couldn't celebrate just yet because the Seahawks still had a lot of life in them, and there was still a lot of game left to play. With 3 minutes left in the third quarter, the score was 20-20. Like, yeah, it was a tie game, bro. And I would actually run probably the ugliest route of my career. I don't know what I was doing, but hey, it worked, and we actually were able to move the ball downfield. We was right inside the red zone, hand off to my boy Breece Hall, and what do you know, man? He does what he does best. Scored. That would actually be the final score of the game as we beat the Seahawks at home 20-27, giving us our 10th win of the season, bruh. Week 14, we be back on the road taking on the Miami Dolphins. Now, bro, week 14 sounds crazy. Like the NFL season is just extra long for no reason. But anyways, like I said, we be taking on the Miami Dolphins, and they were 6-6, but the stadium was like filled to capacity. Like, I'm not saying 6-6 is a bad record, but I know for a fact if the New York Jets, my squad, was 6-6, it ain't no way it would be packed to capacity like it is here. But anyways, man, look, I don't know what got into my dog Breece Hall, but he was definitely in his bag. Like, I'm talking about prime Adrian Peterson, prime Marshawn, like prime bro was in his prime. I don't know what was on his heart or what was on his mind, but he was doing his thing. I was just trying to stay out the way and, make sure I was blocking for my dog, and he made everything else happen. Like, look at his play right here, bro. Come on, man. That's impressive. This was actually the best game that he had all season. He actually rushed for well over 200 yards, and to be real, he was really carrying the whole team on his back. We were near the end of the third quarter, and I only had like 4 catches for 60 yards. I mean, it was like my normal production wasn't really needed this game, or so I thought. Like, we had worked our way down the field right outside the end zone. I had a slant route, but the Dolphin defense actually read it to perfection. Us not being able to score right there actually came back to bite us in the ass, bro. We ended up losing the game by 1 point. Coming off a tough loss like that, our last game was kind of hard to move on from. But I realized the NFL, of course, is a lot more different than college football. See, in college football, it's all about tradition, rivalries, and I mean, that stuff exists in the NFL, but it's more so a job. Like, it's really on to the next one. So the next week, we'd actually be on the road taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars. They were actually 5-8 on the season, so they was trying to get over that hill. But hey, I realized every opponent is dangerous at this point. Like you guys have been seeing all season, our offense has been pretty much unstoppable. Like, we can literally move the ball with ease and score at will. But unfortunately, I can't say the same for our defense. They've really been the biggest issue with the team thus far. And also special teams, we've given up a few kick returns as well. So yeah, man, that's not good at all. Now, I also have to take some of the responsibility as well. I mean, of course, I can't play both sides of the ball, offense and defense. But a few games back, I said something that I think towards the middle of the season, I kind of forgot. I have to be everything for this team. Like on the offensive side of the ball, I can't afford to have off games. You know what I'm saying? So I think that really clicked in this Jacksonville game because as you'll notice, man, I started to get my number called a lot more. And hey, I was able to capitalize each time. About 54 seconds left, 24 all in the fourth quarter, bro. We had to go like 64 yards up the field. Now, I was able to get the ball and get out of bounds off the shallow cross, but then my boy TC was able to catch the ball on the corner route and take it into the end zone, giving us our 10th win. Finally, we got our 10th win of the season. Now, I actually had a pretty good game, finishing with 7 receptions, 112 yards, and 2 touchdowns. 10-4 on the season. We be at home taking on the Los Angeles Rams, and they were actually 4-10. But look, the first play of the game, I mean literally the first play of the game after the kickoff, I took it home for 70 yards, completely untouched by the defense. Like, I know I said it before that I had my best game of the season or whatever, but no, this was my best game because on our very next possession, I did the same exact thing. I had the curl route, but I mean, I had already beat my defender, so it would be pointless for me to turn around. I took that catch to the house again for another touchdown. Jumping ahead to the third quarter, it was 28 even. Like, we literally were tied with a 4-10 team. That's what I'm trying to tell y'all. Like, our defense is definitely our biggest liability, and it's really a huge concern, especially because we finna go into the playoffs. Beginning of the fourth quarter with the game still tied, we have moved the ball to right inside the red zone, and of course, you know that's when my number gets called the most. I'm elite down there, you gotta understand that. But anyways, of course, I had the slant route. I came up clutch with the catch, and we actually went ahead to take the lead. But just like I was talking about with our defense, they immediately gave up a touchdown. But then we immediately came back with a touchdown of our own. We had trips on the right-hand side of the field. I was lined up by myself on the left. Aaron Rodgers hit my boy Garrett Wilson in the middle of the defense, and he took it all the way home for 6, giving us the lead. But again, the Rams answered right back with a touchdown, 42 all. 32 seconds left in the fourth quarter. I actually ran a slant route to put us right inside the field goal range, but that wasn't enough for me because on our very next play, I ran the shallow crossing route. My boy Aaron Rodgers threw it in the coverage. Hey, that's that trust because of course I came down with it. We were actually able to go ahead and pull off the 3-point win at home over the Los Angeles Rams. Like I said before, this would be my best game of the season as I finished with 7 receptions, 195 yards, 3 touchdowns. Yeah, man, y'all see where we at? Yeah, y'all should already know what time it was, man. We would be on the road for what would be my last game of the season. Now, the team still had one last game, but of course I had to rest, get ready for the playoffs. But anyways, we would be on the road taking on the biggest ops, man, the Buffalo Bills. They were 11-4, and so were we. Now, if you remember correctly, week 6, they came into our house and beat us at home. So, of course, we was in their house looking for some get back. We were down by 4 to start the fourth quarter inside of the red zone. Then that's when my boy Aaron Rodgers threw an absolute dart right on target to the back of the end zone to give us the lead. But of course, that didn't last very long with our trash ass defense because they went right out there and gave up a score. Now, I tried to tell y'all, man. 1 minute is way too much time to leave on the clock when your quarterback's name is Aaron Rodgers. There we were again, that same exact situation. We needed to go the length of the field, and we had a minute to do it. But y'all should already know what happened. We worked our way down the field. Right outside the goal line, I had the slant, and boom, I found myself wide open, bro. Wide open in the end zone for my second game winner of the season. We were able to go ahead and pick up the W on the road, giving us 12 wins on the season, and we were able to get our revenge for that loss they gave us at home earlier.